what I'm trying to get at is that a lot of people do this. I want to be clear. I'm not saying that it's not being done, but I think it's important to have an awareness around the leadership within the communities as to what it means for a new person to walk through those doors. Sit and remember your first meeting. And I always say, like, when I had sponsees and things, it'd be like, if you're having a hard time, just remember the day before you came in. You know what I mean? And, like, that's a humbling thought process. And if you got 20 years, you still remember that day. You know what I mean? Like, you still remember your first meeting. I remember mine.
So it was a little bit from Ryan, of course, my co-host and good buddy, back for another recording this week. Listen, the title sponsor for today's episode is the Yatra Trauma Center here in Krabi, Thailand, where I reside. Those of you that are new to the platform, my healing journey started in Thailand when I was lucky enough to attend the residential program at Yatra. They treat addiction through the lens of trauma, and they do it very well. Absolutely changed my life for the better after just 30 days there. Also, you might be surprised, the cost compared to some of the private pay options in other parts of the world, absolutely worth the money. So check them out. You can learn more about them and see a bunch of episodes that Mike Miller has started if you go to a2apodcast.com/trauma and enjoy the show. Hello, everybody. Watchers, listeners, supporters of all kinds. Welcome to another episode of the Ashes to Awesome podcast. I'm your host, Chuckle Flange, checking in from Krabi, Thailand. Halfway around the world, my good friend and co-host, Ryan Bathgate, sitting in Mission, BC. How are you doing today, Ryan?
Well, it's kind of like, it's September the 4th, and, summer's gone. And so today has been like the first day. Well, yesterday technically was like the first day of like back into life.
Yeah.
But I went golfing. So just another day. Another day, one more day of summer. I'd try to squeak one out. So no, I'm motivated, man. I'm happy. I am extremely fucking grateful. Like, like you get to places in your life where you just kind of sit back and go, shit, I didn't realize it could be this good, which is coming a long way from like planning my exit from the world. You know what I mean? No, things are well. Things are coming together. It's just like, not to like put any Christian spin on anything or not, but I'll quote the JC, the man, love thyself and love thy neighbor just seems to be a really good way to operate in this world, and to adopt the currency of kindness has been what it's done is it's realigned whatever cosmic forces out there to really I guess put in place the path of the righteous, and so when you do the right things, right, the right things start to happen, and that's kind of what's happening for me is that I'm trying on a daily basis to be a better human being, be a better partner, be a better father, and a better friend. And like I fall short, but it's not a shame process anymore. It's a human process, and so like life's good. I got an appointment for the surgeon for my hernia because I'm gonna miss the hockey season this year. It looks like, but life is good. It's gonna be getting cold soon. I kind of wanted to get one more. Well,
to the list, most of our audience, you could go to hell with your. It's
by cold, I mean like 10 degrees Celsius, which is 50 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, something like that, right? Yeah. Right.
Times two, add 30. Yeah.
So,
how are you?
Of course, I'm good. It's a funny thing here. What's not funny? That sense of loneliness, and again, I'm in Thailand alone, right? Mm-hmm. And there's days when that catches up to me in a big way, right? Some days are much harder than others. Yeah, it is, right? Christmas was really tough, and all of a sudden, we're still 3 months away, 4 months away.
I don't know. I went into Home Depot and they got all their Christmas displays out. I was like, what the fuck? They do not. Yeah.
Oh my Lord. And at least, I should say, at least I don't have to deal with that. So when I was back home in Canada in active addiction, every year the Christmas stuff would come out, and it'd just be this horrible like reminder every day that I was alone, right? And my perceived lack of connection, that was on me, but it was my reality at the time. Here, I don't have to deal with that. Thailand's it's a Christian holiday. Christianity's not big in Thailand, so it comes out like in December.
I don't think. I just want to touch back on that.
Yeah,
because you said something quite profound, actually, in the perceived lack of connection.
Yeah,
and I think maybe it's more intrinsic than that. It's a perceived lack of connectability.
Fair enough. And
you know what I mean?
Not feeling lovable.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, look at your relationship with yourself in that moment.
Yeah,
you're not, not seen, not heard, not loved, not lovable.
We talked about it, and for anybody that's listening, this last weekend ramble was absolutely phenomenal. We had a father on from the AARC program, who, it'll be coming up this weekend actually. So if you're listening to this now, it'll be the next episode released. Ooh, deep. It's not often we get a father on to talk about the struggle. Right. And it was absolutely just amazing. Right. I'll take a moment here. They're a sponsor, so they're paying my bills. I should take every moment I can to talk about them. But and for good reason. So AARC, I don't know how much you know about AARC.
Just what I know from the show, to be honest with you.
Adolescent, Alberta Adolescent Recovery Center. Parents can compel their teens into treatment. Right. And I know there's some mixed thoughts and feelings around this. But what I've come to, and I knew it, but it was really put in front of me, and we're going to use the word profound again, in a profound way in a couple of these last episodes with them when, we had the one fellow on, I can't think of his name now, but, and then this father from last weekend, these are kids, right? They're kids. They haven't even had a chance for their brains to fully develop.
26 years old.
And if the process, there's a lot of process before they're compelled, right? Like there's a lot of things that have to happen. So it's not something that's taken lightly. Mom can't my kid's smoking a joint, I'm going to put him in fucking treatment. That's not what happens. It's a really big deal to be accepted into the program, right?
Okay.
And I think anytime we talk about compelled, coerced, mandated treatment, I think that has to be the qualifier for any of those conversations, in that there needs to be a lot of protocol to protect people that don't belong there.
Yeah.
Right.
Or how parents are too.
Of course, right.
The sky's falling. Here. But I don't take a really heavy stance on either side.
Yeah.
Personally, but I do believe I think it's better to send someone to treatment than to send them to crime school or juvie.
Every time, right?
You know what
Every
I mean? So when it comes down to I as a therapist, the toughest demographic to work with is the mandated demographic.
Of course they are.
But that doesn't mean. Give me a challenge.
Do the ends justify the means? So they have 73% finish rate. I should say
completion.
73% of the people that start their program finish it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and when we're talking about statistics in treatment centers, that's a massive, that's a big number to talk about. You know what I mean? Because they are twisted and they are manipulated quite a bit. So
that's it. I've been in this industry a long time.
Absolutely.
And I know
right.
Every time I see a completion rate, I look the other way. I don't trust.
Fair enough. He has, Dr. Voss, the founder, has come on and talked a lot about that process and where that number comes from, and the independent reviews or peer-reviewed papers that have been written about the program. There's a lot that goes into it. So 73% of their applicants finish. And I think that comes from what it takes to become a member of that program.
Well, I will say that that's a lower number.
Yeah. Which
from what
right away gives it a little bit of
credibility,
right?
It gives you credibility because it tells me they're not fudging their numbers.
Yeah.
And because most people have a 90 to 100, which is just, to me, it's
completion rate.
Yeah. It's because the definition
how do they
is subjective.
Do that?
Because some people think that completion means getting to treatment. walking through the
So,
door.
this is
This is what I'm saying. That's why I
this is their
trust 73% more than I trust
10 to
98%.
12 months, depending on the participant. 10 to 12 months, 73%, 10 to 12 months.
So that's what I mean. Like, I trust that a lot more.
Of course, right? And keep in mind, it's not just the kid; it's the entire family takes part in this program.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not accepted into it, right? So we're talking. You have to accept your home becomes a recovery home for other kids. It's this whole.
It's a program,
yeah, right. Like it's pure work on a level that is just unbelievable, like absolutely unbelievable. Right, what they're doing there, man. It is, yeah. I use the word revolutionary, but it's 34 years they've been at it. And if you look at Kiara, who's their kind of PR person or their communications person, she's been on every episode with AARC. She's kind of their spokesperson now.
Yeah.
And for her and her journey, she was her son's first overdose. They were in hospital. He hadn't even woken up yet. He was still in coma, and they were already having a discharge meeting with her in the next room.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know.
Right. And we've talked about the problems in the medical system, right? Over and over again.
Yeah.
So after her second overdose, finally somebody said to her, "Have you heard about this AARC?" So if you can imagine a mother and you don't have to imagine, you personally have dealt with many of them who are just at their absolute wit's end. Right. This has gone on now for a couple of years.
Yeah.
She's trying everything she possibly can, and nobody's even told her about this program yet. Right. So she gets to this point after his second overdose in 2 weeks. Somebody tells her about AARC. They get accepted into the program. And where I was going at the beginning of this. So they go through this crazy process that gets them into the program. It's the entire family. The parents are going to Al-Anon. They're going to group therapy meetings. The kids, like, it's everybody's involved, right? And I'm just scratching the surface at the commitment level here to be a part of it. But the profound, there's that word again, effect on the whole, like, you're talking generations. Like, if you're catching these kids young, you're talking about years of heartache and disappointment, and if they can succeed, right? If they do maintain their pride, like, so if you're going to mandate anybody, a kid with an undeveloped brain and serious, severe SUD, that's the kid to do it with. Hey, just a quick interruption for the all too important PSA. Today's PSA is brought to you by AARC. That's the Alberta Adolescent Recovery Center, located in Alberta. They treat teens with severe SUD. They involve the whole family in the process. It's absolutely amazing. Check them out, guys. You can learn more at arc.ab.ca. And here's a PSA with Rachel from Addict with Purpose.
Hey everyone, Rachel, Addict with Purpose here. I just wanted to briefly share about two of my favorite medications out there, naloxone and Narcan. These are medications to help prevent accidental overdose. It doesn't matter who you are. Addiction does not discriminate. There is crazy things out there today, and people are dying at really high alarming rates. So this medication here is a life-saving device. You cannot recover if you are dead, and this is how we are saving the lives of people and helping people find recovery when they're ready.
Kid to do it with.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're going to change things for years, for literally generations, potentially.
Yeah.
Right. You know, much like the damage caused by addiction is nuclear. You know, the damage avoided by catching a kid this young is just as expansive.
Yeah.
Right. You know. Right. So it's important.
Nuclear.
You know? Yeah. I took that one from you. Right. So
that's why I like it.
There's the ego. Okay. Anyway.
Hey, it's never going to be gone. We got to come to terms with that as a collective. Yeah.
Fair enough. So, I guess ultimately, what I mean to say is, it's a program that needs to be talked about more, and that's why we partnered up, and that's why I'm so unbelievably grateful for that, because it's something I could be passionate about, right?
Yeah.
Having heard from so many parents who have lost that fight.
Yeah.
You know how much of that can be avoided by catching these kids young. You know.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. It's something else. But I don't even know how we got into that.
You were plugging your
AARC.
sponsor.
Yeah, right. As I should, right. And I don't even call them sponsors; they're partners, right?
Yeah.
What we're doing is it's great work, right? And of course, Dr. Lisa in there as well. She just got her own. A friend of hers who has a kid that's in it now, part of the program. That her friend is a part of that program with her kid. And one of the texts she had received was, I don't know, it's a big commitment. And for someone like Lisa and her story, whose family for 25 years was committed involuntarily to the struggle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It was seemingly all the wrong avenues. And like,
right.
Lisa's experience with this is comprehensive because she's been down every avenue.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and her message back was like, commitment. You're committed now.
Yeah.
Once a loved one has severe SUD, you're committed.
Yeah.
You
100%.
can decide what that commitment looks like for now, for the short term, by going to a program like AARC or live in the struggle. Right? Like those
living
are
the struggle is not deciding. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like one of those things like where, the whole like, what am I saying right now? I lost my train of thought. My screen came up because my mouse hook went over something and it just totally threw me off.
This message brought to you by ADHD.
Yeah. Where's my car keys? That was my favorite poem in the world. I forgot what I was going to say. That happens a lot.
Yeah, it does.
So I wouldn't mind shifting, I guess.
Yeah. What's on your mind, buddy?
Well, I hit a mark yesterday.
6 months. Congratulations. As much as you don't want to hear that, or
like that, and it's like the question I'm asking myself is like, why do I have a hard time, embracing that or celebrating that? And the reality is, there's a massive shame factor, of being at this for so long, and it's like, part of it, there's an ego element to it in the optics of like, you hear it all the time. Yeah, that guy's been around a while. He's only got 6 months. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that because I've been in those conversations.
I've literally heard you say 6 months before, right? About other people, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
of course,
and so
don't get that wasn't a finger point. That's just the reality of it, right?
No, and it speaks to my own insecurity, I guess, because I guess like when you built yourself up to something and then that is gone, there's a void, and so like nothing will fill that void except for 11 years of consistent sobriety, because that's the mark I haven't hit yet. You know what I mean? And so like so every time it's like, good job, it's kind of like, what do you mean good job? Like, I've dedicated my whole life to recovery one way or another, whether I was in it or out, and I've got 6 months.
So then I will ask you, as a therapist, if someone is sitting in your office and is in this identical position and says these things to you, what's your answer to them?
My answer? I suffer from terminal uniqueness.
Yeah.
That's my answer, because it's good for them. Excellent job. Way to go. That's awesome. But you're not me.
Okay. That's, to me, that's the answer that I would get in the rooms. But in a therapist's office, as you, in a capacity as a therapist, how do you help someone navigate that?
It's a validating experience.
Okay.
Like, so when it's not about me, I look at strength-based approach of resiliency, of social intelligence, of discipline, of prioritizing, being an adult, growing up, like all of those things are really powerful and excellent traits to have. And for some reason, I would not let myself be that. But if it was you, even as a therapist, I'm going to say, like, I would look at like, hey, let's break it down. Like month one, look at what you achieved. Month two, month three, month four. Let's look at what happened from the contrast of the previous 5 years and start looking at that. And I would say things like, you may have 6 months, but you have 25 years of experience. Regardless of consistency and sobriety, there's still a lot of knowledge there and then a lot of experience, which knowledge and experience, we know knowledge plus experience equals wisdom. And so I would say that you gained a lot of wisdom, and the world will be better for it.
And as
go
proof
ahead.
of that, and in your specifically at you, I don't feel without that wisdom, we're going to use that as our comprehensive term instead of saying 25 years of whatever, right? Let's just say wisdom. There's no way in 6 months yesterday that you are where you are, right?
No.
That's accumulation of a lot of knowledge, wisdom to get you to like in 6 months, because where you are now compared to where you were 6 months ago, and that is, if you don't mind me saying, sitting in a fucking cell thinking about exiting life.
Exactly where it was 6 months ago to the day. Yeah.
And now here you are 6 months later in a much better fucking place, right? Doing the things, spreading the message, all those things that you love to do with your family back in place. I would like to think that you're probably a hell of a lot better now than you were 6 months and a day ago with your family.
Yeah.
Right. So there's been been a massive, improvements and all those things. Right. And none of that happens if this is your first kick at the can.
No, to be honest,
not in
with
6
you,
months, it doesn't.
I wouldn't have made it if it was my first kick of the can. Honestly, the stress and the shame and the remorse and the
without playing victim
of the systems and
the system. I was just about to say the system.
It is a freaking meat grinder, man. Like, it is not set up for rehabilitation. It's set up for recidivism. And that is, do you know what that term is? Should I explain that?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's a 3-syllable term.
You can fuck off. How's that sound? Right?
Yeah. To be honest with you, Chuck, you know what? I was saying that in case a listener
6, by the way. It's 6 fucking syllables.
I don't count so good, so I know you know that. I was just, in case the listeners don't know. Recidivism is a term that they use to speak to reoffending, specifically in the judicial system. So likelihood of recidivism is a column that you would fill out on a report.
Yes.
So I wouldn't there was moments where I was like, this is a time that I would typically use drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if I didn't have kids, I probably would have. To be frank. Well, if I didn't have kids, I probably would have killed myself when I got out of jail. To be completely honest. And the reason is that life is fucking exhausting. Especially when you're not living it the right way. Like, one of those things about recovery, I think that, you talk about it being a simple program, but not easy. In comparison, life is just so much easier this way.
It's funny. I think about that often, and it's a conversation I've had with people, friends who are still using back in Canada that, reach out to me now and again. It's like, you think it's going to be hard. What you're doing is hard. Right? Like grinding it out, prostituting yourself, waking up every day dope sick and having to sleep with a stranger so you could be not dope sick. So you could, that's hard.
Yeah. And
right? This is so much easier than that life. Right? So much easier. Jeez, man. Right?
I'm so far away from being new that it's got to be just scary.
Of course it is.
And that's the hard part. It's not actually hard. It's fearful. It's not actually difficult. It's shame-filled, or it has so many trigger points on history, and especially with the stigma around recovery itself, which is getting a lot better thanks to podcasts like this one.
Thank you.
But when I first came in, you were weak. It was still in that, to be an alcoholic, to be in recovery, to see a therapist meant that you were weak-willed, you know? And so this time around, I know what's going to happen. I know what to expect. I know what 6 months feels like and looks like, and I know what it takes to get there, and I know what it takes to get to 7 years.
Yeah.
But if I didn't know those things, there's no way I'm sitting here telling you about my 6 months,
Yeah. Right. And that is the reality of it. Jeez,
it is. And if I was going to call anyone or anything out on that, it would be that the leaders we have in our recovery communities, that it's their job to make sure that this is as to minimize the fear factor and comfort and support which a lot of people do. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm saying we have a responsibility as leaders in our community to ensure that the landing for every person that walks through the doors for the first time is as soft as possible, as welcoming as possible, and that they belong. Not just fit in, but belong. And like I said, like my sponsor, I picked him because that's what he does well.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah. I got a great fuck off face. It's great. I've been working on it for years. I practice it in the gym every day. And I had my A game on when I came into the rooms again this time, because honestly, the fear was different. It wasn't about like, am I going to make it? It was just I don't know about you, but I do not like the feeling of being judged. And whether I'm being judged or not, I'm judging myself. And I sure feel like every single person in a meeting is thinking the same things about me that I'm thinking about me, which is
so. It brings to mind another silver lining of your otherwise cloudy experience. It puts you back in a place to remember that, right? And so when a newcomer comes through the door, now that's fresh for you, right?
Yeah.
That's fresh. That feeling of shame, that feeling of whatever, right? Mm-hmm. It's not quite the same as a newcomer, of course, after so many years of success, but it's there as a stark reminder for you, and kind of a renewed sense of purpose to make sure that people don't feel that shame.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Honestly, I could do a better job of being that guy that puts his hand out. Like I've just never been that guy.
But you've only got 6 months.
There's the shame. Thanks for reinforcing that.
It'll come to you. Just give it some time. Right?
Yeah. You're new. You're too dumb. You're still too dumb to figure it out.
It brings me to something that I'm always happy to talk about. Not happy to talk about, keen to talk about, so maybe a better word. The weaponization of clean time.
Well,
right. And so now you've admitted to being that person in the past, right? Now you're on potentially the other side of that, right? So it's another renewed sense of purpose, right? Is like, as your clean time accumulates now again, don't let that shit happen. Right.
Yeah. I've never been, I'm not going to say I've never been, that's not true. It's been a long time since I've been hierarchical relative to clean time. And because I deeply understand that I have friends that have 20 years that don't have one fucking thing that I want. Crazier than a shithouse rat, so I don't see clean time as a really good marker for good living. The one thing you've done well is not put drugs in your body or alcohol.
Yeah, and you're still a cunt.
Yeah,
right. Sorry, C-bomb, but right. But I see it all the time online, of course, because that's where I spend most of my time.
Yeah,
right. It's all. One person said to me at 20 months, I wouldn't even hang out with you. It's like, well, as it turns out, you're a dick, right? Yeah. You're exactly the type of person I wouldn't hang out with, right? And that's why.
And I don't care how many months you got or I got. You're a fucking asshole. You know?
Right?
And,
completely.
And then most of the time, that is a buildup of existential vacuum over time that is filled with arrogance, which I know that experience very well.
Yeah.
So to me, when I hear that, I just go right to sadness. Like, that poor bastard,
No kidding, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, whatever, right? Yes, I've only got 22 months, but right?
Yeah,
I like to think that I'm pretty,
Oh, hey, look at this!
I'm doing okay. Right?
Sorry, I just got
What's
text.
that?
I just got a text message. Someone sent me a job posting.
Oh, so you're ready to get back to work?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you able to talk about that, or is that kind of something that's close to your chest for now?
No, I mean, well, let's. How do I want to approach this? Everybody when they get out of their recovery house or their treatment center, decides that they want to be a counselor. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
myself
Yeah,
included. I didn't do that right out of treatment, but and it is so much more difficult to maintain solid long-term sobriety while you're working in this industry.
That's interesting.
Well, yeah, like I burned out twice, and I don't want
Mm-hmm.
a single burnout for anyone ever once. And the reason I burned out was because I didn't take self-care seriously, and I didn't listen to the people that had been around a long time, because I am different than them, and that is the crux of my problem. You know, and so what I've done is essentially I've taken 6 months and focused on health, on mental health. Well, so the 4 pillars: emotional health, spiritual health, physical health, and mental health. Okay. And so I'm still, I guess, apprehensive about going back to work and fearing that I didn't give it enough time.
Fair enough.
Because I say I burnt out twice, but I think I just burnt out once for a really long time.
Yeah.
And like, but I've been doing my private practice this whole time, and it has brought something to my world that I haven't really experienced since I started 10 years ago. Passion for it, you know, looking forward to helping people again, instead of just looking at a clock and counting numbers and just doing the math between, you know, how much money I'm going to get and that bullshit. Like, you know, like, and so that to me, that apathy is a product of burnout. Like, that's part of it.
Yeah.
You know, and I always say apathy is a duvet. Like, so it's somewhere we go to rest. And so that essentially I didn't do it in a proactive way. I didn't do it in a healthy way. I did it in a way that was way outside of awareness, and completely ambiguous because of the presence of ego.
Yeah.
You know, and so like, I'm feeling a certain way, and I got my ego telling me I'm not. It's really an abusive relationship if you think about it.
No kidding, eh?
Yeah, like with myself or my ego, like, and so like, so now I'm at a place that's like, okay, I think we can do this. Like, I think it's time. I have the fire is in my heart, and I want to help people again, and I want to help people, not to make money, you know, and so I just happened to put out into the world that I'm looking to go back to work. Like, and by that I mean, like, I've been doing my private practice, but that's like maybe 10 hours a week, you know. You know, and so so someone that used to report to me at one of my old jobs, I was talking to, and he just sent me a posting for his team. So it'll be ironic to like go and work for somebody that used to report to me. Like, remember the time I had to discipline you? I hope you don't. You know, like, yeah. So,
no kidding,
but honestly, he's such a good man. Like, he's such a good guy. And he was one of the guys that taught me in the beginning. You know, like, we were peers at the time. And then I got promotions, and so did he. It's just that his promotion fell under my portfolio. So, you know, and I always worry about going to a new job because I don't play well with others. You know, I do when there's respect, and if I've lost respect, then I'm probably going to not be working there for very long. And so, so it's good with this guy. I know who he is. I know what he's all about, and he's just a good dude, you know. And like, I was fortunate when I worked at Phoenix, man. Like, we had a period there where every single human being that my mentor Michael hired had a fire in their belly for helping people. That was just, it became a standard that I have never experienced since. Too bad it was early in my career, because that set a really hard by, a hard by, the bar high. Like Matt's and my buddy said to me today something about Matt's And no, Amy screwed it up. It was Mats and Rice, and it was supposed to be Rats and Mice. Rats and Mice, yeah.
Okay, there you
Anyway,
go.
sorry.
There you go.
Yeah, cut that out. So, yeah, no, I'm excited to get back working again. I'm gonna be, if I do take this role, it'll be counseling again, and counseling families and Indigenous families with mental health and substance use disorder issues. And so that's kind of interesting to me. It'll never be the money that I'm accustomed to unless I go into an executive role, which I'm not really interested in, to be honest with you. Like,
fair enough.
Yeah,
fair
like
enough, right?
It's kind of one of those been there, done that, bought the t-shirt things. And what I've learned over the years is that I like direct impact, and bureaucracy is the death of innovation, and I love innovation. So the less bureaucracy I can deal with is the better. And it'd be nice to just go see my clients, do my case notes, go home. And when I'm in a leadership role, it's you're on all the time, and hence the burnout. But going back to like what I was saying before, I think it's really important for our leadership group within the communities. And really, like, I don't know what point you consider yourself a leader in that community, but I think like you could probably use some markers like, hey, have you actually completed a set of steps? Like that might be an important thing. Do you understand meaning and purpose, which is not spoken about in the literature, but it is such an important thing.
It is such that to me is the biggest part of my recovery, right? Which is probably worrisome in some, like, what if I lost this purpose? What if something happened and I lost a platform?
It won't.
That's a little white knuckly when I think about it, right?
Well,
but that direction and purpose for me is all too important.
Yeah,
right?
And when you have that, we don't have existential vacuum. And existential vacuum is when we start becoming attracted to the toxic things in life, like gossip and car accidents, and you know what I mean,
right.
like
reality TV.
So we exactly. Which I don't hate. Yeah.
Are you still watching Below Deck, right?
Oh yeah, actually. So like, because I've been on a hiatus, we've
got some binging too.
Oh yeah. We already binged. We're up to date with Captain Sandy out in the Mediterranean, and then we just started the new season where Captain Lee's retired, and there's a new guy. I don't like him, but that's probably because it's not.
No, we don't like him.
Who's not Captain Lee?
Okay.
Nobody's gonna be Captain Lee.
I've never watched that trash, man.
Well, that's awesome. Right? I don't know. I can't believe she said that. So good. It's so good. I'll be going to bed. I'll be like, man, that Ben's an arrogant prick. Those are my last thoughts before I sleep.
Yeah.
So
sounds healthy. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's trash, and but it is a complete shut off. What I'm trying to get at is that a lot of people do this. I want to be clear. Like, I'm not saying that it's not being done, but I think it's important to have an awareness around the leadership within the communities as to what it means for a new person to walk through those doors. Sit and remember your first meeting. And I always say, like, when I had sponsees and things, it'd be like, if you're having a hard time, just remember the day before you came in. You know what I mean? And that's a humbling thought process.
No kidding, it is, right?
And if you got 20 years, you still remember that day. You know what I mean? Like, you still remember your first meeting. I remember mine. And who I wasn't within that experience, and like, it's just not even. It's not. It. I guess it humanizes the process. But I wouldn't even hang out with you if you had 22 months. Like, I wouldn't hang out with you for $1 million fucking dollars.
Right.
You know, like,
It's just the whole those. It's that whole vocal minority thing, right?
yes, totally, and that's it.
Is what it is, and it gives the rest of the community a bad rap.
Yeah, it's the bad apple.
Right?
The bad apple.
Absolutely.
Theory,
The shaming of people for being on mat or whatever their path is, or I get a kick out of it. What was the I mean the other day? It's my God-given duty to tell people who use mat they're not sober. It's like, it's your what?
Huh. Well, that's funny because I've felt that I've had a God-given duty to punch people in the face before, you know, and it didn't work well for me. That didn't work out well.
My
for
comment
me.
in return was narcissist much.
Yeah,
right? Like Jesus, man. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I started a fire.
I saw your post.
Yeah, I started a firestorm with that. With that, and all they did was lay down facts. You know.
Yeah.
But it is like 0.6% of the population is narcissistic.
Okay, has been diagnosed as narcissist.
Yes. Okay.
How much doesn't get diagnosed?
Okay.
That would be my question to that. Not challenge, but question to that.
And I'll agree with that, but I will counter with 6% is sociopathic.
Okay.
So just if you want to take that as a comparable, because the how do I say that? Sociopaths don't think they're sociopaths. Like narcissists don't think they're narcissists. Yet the number is still drastically more. Hundreds of thousands of people more. So and that was one of
10 times, right?
It was one of the pushbacks that I got on those comments. And like, I agree. Sure, it is underdiagnosed. One of the few things that are. But if you look at a sociopath, they are still at 60.
They would be just as unlikely or just as likely to be undiagnosed.
Exactly.
Right? So
and that's my point.
I think you can say safely that there are 10 times as many sociopaths as there are narcissists in the population.
Which is still not many. I mean, what that works out to, I think, is 2 million sociopaths in Canada. Yeah. Opposed to 100.
But again, that's diagnosed. So, right. So there'd be as many undiagnosed sociopaths as there is narcissists.
Right.
So 10 times more. Right.
Exactly.
You know
so
what I mean?
If you had 10 sociopaths and you have one narcissist. But do I ever hear anyone
they present
coming
awfully similar.
I don't have anyone coming in my office saying, well, not anyone. Once in a while I do, I guess, but way less people coming in saying, I think that this person's a sociopath.
It's not as much as a buzzword.
Everybody
right?
is calling.
Absolutely.
And we all have narcissistic tendencies, especially in addiction. You know what I mean? Like, so like, it's just, and then the other thing that really grinds my gears, to quote Peter Griffin, is that
I'm so used to you quoting some like intellectual or author.
He is
like philosopher. Yeah. Like fuck up Peter Griffin. Okay, I had to register that. Yeah. What really grinds my gears?
Nobody, unless you're a trained professional and given that designation, is a diagnostician. You should not be using that term at all for anybody. You know, and like even the other one that bothers me is I feel depressed. Like, no, you don't. You feel sad. Depression is not a feeling; it's a diagnosis. You know what I mean? Yeah. It is deep sadness. That's what you're feeling. You know, and so like, it's just you know, the pop psychology thing. Did you see that post I put up?
No, I haven't. No, I'll have to go back and take a look.
It's called Pop Psychology versus Real Psychology. I'll see if I can. Yeah. And I found it really interesting, actually. You know, how do I do this?
I could probably find it faster than you can.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
Well, just because I'm on a computer and it's.
Here we go. Right? Pop psychology is not psychology. Bullet points. Everyone you dislike is not a narcissist. Every unpleasant experience is not trauma. Having needs does not make you codependent. Disagreement is not gaslighting. Conflict is not abuse. Taking offense is not being triggered. I love that one.
There's a massive part of it. I'd say roughly half the population would disagree with that one. I'm not going to say which half because this is not a political show, but you know.
Okay, I'll finish it. Everything does not need to be normalized, and speaking like an HR memo is not self-awareness.
But I kind of want to share that one. I don't know. We'll have to.
Here, you know what? I'll tag you in it.
Yeah.
Which one? That one?
The pop psychology.
Ash is awesome, or?
No, just tag me personally. Yeah.
Okay. Hoarder. I'm still getting used to hoarder. Yeah, it was funny.
I know,
It was
right?
funny. We were out camping on the weekend. I had a bunch of guys from Comox, some old friends I grew up with, come out and visit. And
Oh.
well, some of them you would know that I don't know if you remember, but they're
Remember
definitely part
somebody
of that
named
the
Matt?
river crew. No, Matt. I see Matt out here all the time. He lives in Hope.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yeah, so we
Yeah.
were at his house all the time. But you know, my buddy Nate and my buddy Justin came out with their daughters, and like we all, I don't know what it is about Comox, but like all of my friends didn't have kids till their 40s, so we all have these, and
Oh, that works out well.
and
Yeah,
we all got girls, like,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is just karma. You know,
Yeah.
And so my buddy Nate brought his two girls over who are 5 and 10. My girls are 2 and 6, and my buddy Dustin brought his daughter Summer, who's 4. And so the kids were out playing. It was great, and you know, it came up like, you know, like I didn't come up with means. I didn't come up with, you know, a lot, but they're like, how do you know how to do all this stuff, like with the RV and the boat and all that? I was like, well, my dad always had a motorhome and a boat, you know, and then I was like, you know, actually, the guy who came camping with us the most was Chuck. You know, Chris and Mike. Pretty much Eagle Lake, man. You know, like. And I remember you had bigger feet than my dad when we were like 10.
You know what they say about big feet, right?
Big shoes, yeah. My dad was grabbing his shoes. I was like, what the fuck is the matter with this kid? Like, it's elephantitis. You guys developed early. Yeah. So it was a great time, and it was, you know, like we had so many people out there. Took Mackie out in the tube and couldn't get her out of it. And this is, my daughter's scared of her shadow, like, so it was a big deal. So now it's back to life here, and that's kind of where I'm at. I want to start writing again. I want to get back into the book.
I've been meaning to ask you about that, actually.
Yeah, well, I just couldn't. I tried, and
obviously for all sorts of obvious reasons.
I had that time, but it was just so preoccupied with the events happening in my life, like dealing with systems, and like I sit and complain about shit, but I do want to make it clear it's all a consequence to my actions. Yes. So I can piss and moan all I want. The reality is, if I wasn't, I'm not going to shame myself. If I was not ignorantly avoiding my substance use disorder, then I'd have to say that, you know, like, I was in a, how do I want to say this? I lost my thought. If I was not in substance use disorder, I would be, I guess, much less of a human being. Like, so much more surfacey, so much more materialistic. Like, the things I wanted in life before substance use disorder was money and things. Yeah. Like capitalist conditioning. And so I do have appreciation. Like, I would not have this career. I would not I wouldn't have met Marina. I wouldn't have this family, you know, like and so I guess for me it's just going to take a while for me to get back to a place where and I shouldn't say back to a place, but to a place that I'm familiar with, where what people look up to me, or people they
do.
Well, they
still do. And I'll interrupt you there, brother. I will. The feedback on the show has been holy shit in a really good way. Right? And of course, during your hiatus, there was nothing said. It was just whatever. He's taking some personal time, right? So for you to all of a sudden come back and people, holy shit, what? You know what I mean? So right? People do look up to you. I still look up to you.
Well,
right? Absolutely, I do. You know, and more so, maybe more so now than ever, because you're kind of turning into a prick for a little while there. I didn't know why, and I didn't even realize it until everything came to a head. And it was like, oh yeah, he was kind of being a fucking dink. Right?
You know what I mean? I do it so naturally, you know. Part of my being.
All got callings in life, right?
Yeah.
No. You know, there was a couple instances where it was like, fuck this guy, right? And now I understand where it came from, right? Which helps a lot. right? As far as our relationship goes, but
Do you
people
want
still do look up to you, man.
Do you want a
You know
$20
what I mean?
word for that?
Sure.
I understand it from an ontological perspective.
Ontological perspective. All right, define that before we get into daily gratitudes.
Ontology is the study of how things become what they are.
Okay.
And then you use epistemology to get knowledge from that. So they work together.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. There you go, folks.
Yeah.
You can,
some university level education there.
There you go. Free. Absolutely free. Just like, share, and comment, right?
Yeah, so not quite free.
Listen, that brings us to my favorite part of the show, my friend. And that is the daily gratitudes, which today are brought to you by FAR Canada. That is Families for Addiction Recovery. They're offering free services to families in Canada with loved ones that suffer with SUD. They offer group therapy 4 times a month. They have a peer support system that is really, really great. And of course, if you need some real-time guidance or help, you can call during business hours, and you can learn more about them at farcanada.org. What you got for some gratitudes today, Brian?
Yeah, I'm grateful to be alive. You know, I guess I'm grateful for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh chances. I'm very grateful I've been shown what's important in life and what's noise, and it just a whole another level than I understood before. You know, like, I have lifelong friends that have not given up on me, which I'm extremely grateful for. And most of all, I'm grateful for my 2 little girls and Marina, and our beautiful family and our home and the life that we've built. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And you, Chuck. Grateful for you.
Well, thank you. That's that goes 2 ways. Now I kind of have to say that.
You don't have to say nothing.
It'd be weird if I didn't. No, I am truly grateful for that. And another thing I got to mention is our partner, sponsors, whatever. It occurs to me as I'm living my life here in Thailand, and I'm driving around with my dumb dog in his sidecar, that none of this is possible without those partners helping to support us do this. Mm-hmm. And of course, I got to live in Thailand where I can afford to do it, but I get to do that. And I'm so grateful that I get to do what I'm passionate about for a living.
Yeah.
Right. And how many people get to do that. Right. So there's every now and again, I don't think it's ever lost on me, but every now and again, it just washes over me. Mm-hmm. The gratitude that's what I get to do when I think about my life 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm very, very grateful for that. So all of you that are listening right now, thank you so much, because you are the ones that make that possible. Please like, share, comment, do all those things. Because when you do, it keeps me living my best life. My best life is to continue making a humble living and spreading the message. And the message is this: if you're in active addiction right now, today could be the day. Today could be the day that you start that lifelong journey. Reach out to a friend, reach out to a family member, call into detox, go to a meeting, pray, go to church. I don't care. Do whatever it is you got to do to get that journey started, because it is so much better than the alternative. And if you have a loved one who's suffering an addiction right now, just taking the time to listen to this show, if you just take 1 more minute out of your day and text that person, let them know they're loved. Use the words,
"You are loved."
That little glimmer of hope just might be the thing that brings them back.